Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. With me today, remotely, I've got Nick Dunn. Now, Nick Dunn is a former serving paratrooper. He was one of a group called the Chennai Six and is the author of his own book called Surviving Hell, relating to his experience as part of that group. Nick, thank you very much, mate, for giving up your time and coming to talk to me this evening. You're the best person to explain everything that you've been through and where you are today as well. Obviously, this podcast is a bit more focused on mental health. And hearing your story myself, I thought if there's anybody that can talk about mental resilience, it's you. So first of all, mate, if we can take me back and tell me a little bit about your background in the forces, what you did, and sort of where you've been.
Well, I joined the 1st Battalion of the Parachute Regiment at the age of 18. I did 3 tours, one of Northern Ireland and South Armagh, Afghanistan, where I was involved in a vehicle explosion.
Oh, really?
Thankfully, all 3 were unscathed, but it was a very hellish experience to be through.
Yeah.
And just to be out in Afghanistan doing the operations that our battalion, which was joined with UK Special Forces, doing different kind of operations to what the normal conventional British Army would be doing.
Okay.
And then my final tour was in Iraq, and then I left in 2010. So I did about 6 years, give or take. And yeah, I experienced quite a bit.
I bet you did, mate.
But I
Yeah.
have no regrets.
How long, out of interest, mate? How long were the tours?
The majority around 6 months, the tours kind of thing. And you do come home for like 2 weeks leave kind of thing. I was a bit gutted for my Iraq one because I chose my 2 weeks leave where I could go and watch Metallica in the UK and have my birthday, but then I got changed to a month later and I was absolutely devastated.
Oh,
So
so you missed it.
I missed it, yeah. So I spent Christmas, New Year, and my birthday out in Iraq. So hey,
Wow.
you've got to do what you've got to do, I suppose.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, that life that you lived, it's totally alien to me. Obviously, I've never been in the forces, so there's a lot of like, I look at that as an outsider and think just like, wow, to be in that environment. And I guess that's when we talk about mental health and strength, that probably is the beginning of your sort of journey of resilience, really.
Yeah, they do break you down and mold you into a fighting machine where in a
Mm.
flick of a switch you can go from Mr. Nice Guy to a trained killer. Obviously doing the duty, obviously, of the British military. But you do experience a lot. I come from like a working class family. I was never really into school life, bit of a delinquent. So going into the military, it changed me. And it changed me for the best because I had a purpose in life.
Mm.
Instilled standards and discipline. And as a young 18-year-old, compared to say the 18-year-olds of today, I think back and I'm like, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I'm glad the military gave me something in life and I've taken it on board and it's helped me through life throughout my years.
I think that's a massive thing, mate, what you just touched on there, purpose. Me personally, I think that the root of a lot of mental health difficulties, particularly in men, is when we lose purpose. There's nothing worse than feeling lost and not having, not knowing what we're here for. So,
Mm.
yes, I can completely resonate with that side of it, mate.
Like I say, we do experience some horrible things. We
Mm.
have to do things you would never think of if you were non-military, of what to do. But if you train hard, you fight easy to a degree.
Mm.
You know, no one wants to go to war, but you join up knowing one day you will have to go. And when we go there, we're the best of the best, apart
Yeah.
from special forces. So we have a bit of self-pride within ourselves. We conduct our operations in a high level, and you know, you don't think of all the other stuff. And it's not till when you leave, that's when you've lost your safety net.
Mm.
You're not doing what you're used to for so many years, and that's when it can all hit you.
Yeah,
It
that's a
can just
massive
take your
change.
legs away, and most people can't comprehend being out in Civvy Street, and that's when their lives just diminish. And like I say, mental health can all come at different stages of your life. You could leave the army, and then 10 years later, bosh, it hits you.
Mm.
But like I
Did
say,
being in the parachute regiment, was that always your target, or did you progress through to that, or did you, when you joined up, was it always the aim to join the paras?
um, no, I wanted to join originally the Royal Marines, but
Okay.
at that time, you had to be there was a height level, and I'm
Hmm.
not the tallest of guys, and you had to be pretty good at maths because they're thinking soldiers, we're doers. By the time they're thinking
Hmm.
of what to do, we've gone and smashed shit up. Um, yeah.
I mean,
But
again, mate, I don't know a lot about that sort of military thing, but you know, I've read books, I've watched films, and there's this air of, I guess, well, it's the old adage, isn't it? There's got to be something wrong with you to want to jump out of a perfectly good plane. The
yeah, I've heard that
parachute
many a
regiment,
times.
yeah, they've always had that air of like, I guess, there's got to be something special about you to want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
part of that.
We're an elite regiment
Mm.
formed in, World War Two, and we have done operations of a high caliber. Um, 3 battalions, and every battalion is fantastic. My battalion, we formed Special Forces Support Group, so we would be going on operations and assisting UK Special Forces, which
Mm.
I got a little bit of the normal green role soldiering, and then because we ticked all the boxes so well, they brought us forward to joining and forming Special Forces Support Group, where I'm not too sure what the setup is now, but there was one platoon of the RAF Regiment and a company of Royal Marines. Um, yeah, obviously, I think they do like a selection now, so they put through people through that paces and make
Mm.
sure you're always going to get a high caliber of soldier going into one para. Um, and yeah, I had a great time. I met some great people. Some I still call today friends. But you've got that aura, that self pride. You
Yeah.
earn your beret. You go through grueling training at Catterick, and then you go to do P Company. And training for me was really hard. I struggled. I got injured a couple of times, but my heart wanted to be on that parade square passing P Company and getting the green backing from behind the cap badge and
Mm.
standing there being proud. And to walk off the parade square at your passing out to your regimental song, The Ride of the Valkyries, and I was
Mm.
the outside. So when we came round, I was close to my family. So my family could see me, and you're doing an eyes right to the officer that's signing you off. And I felt so proud. It was a
Mm.
lovely feeling, and anyone who joins the parachute regiment, you you have pride.
That's a good place to pause a moment and say a big thank you to this episode's sponsors, Q1. Q1 offer premium masking solutions, the perfect choice for the professional that demands perfection. Q1 tapes deliver clean, sharp lines every single time. They're designed for superior adhesion and easy removal, leaving no adhesive residue. In addition to the tapes, Q1 offer a whole range of surface protection. Using Q1, your projects look professional and the results speak for themselves. Available in most stores and online at q1tapes.com. The Talking Tradesman would like to offer our sincere thanks to Q1 for offering your support to raise mental health awareness and supporting the podcast from day one. I can speak personally, and I say that I use Q1 in my business on every project. With that said, let's get back to the episode. Do you come from a military, have your family got a military background, Nick?
My granddad was in the RAF in World War Two. That's it. A couple of cousins there I think one is still in the REME. I'm not too sure if my other cousin's still in the army. But a few have been in the military in my family.
So getting into the parachute regiment then, is it like, what's the setup there in terms of like how many people pass the training? Is it a big group that ends up as a few? Because I know special forces, obviously they have a huge selection and only a fraction of that get through. Is that similar with the paras?
Yeah. You start off as a big group and people get injured. People, through not being able to hack the intense training, and sometimes they'll go, can I transfer to a different infantry regiment? Because they still want to be in the army, and fair play to them, But P Company takes a lot of soldiers. But if you fail P Company and you still want to try again, you get that opportunity. You'll go get back squatted, so to speak, get your fitness back up and wait for the next platoon that's going to get P Company. You might join, say, a little bit before just to fit into that platoon and then start P Company again. But you do get quite a bit of a low pass rate. But
Which
to
again,
be the best, you've got to simply
absolutely
want it. You've got to want it.
Yeah, and that adds to the prestige of those that do pass as well.
Yeah, there was one guy, because he lived so far down the country. I think he lived in Plymouth or somewhere. He could hardly go home on weekends. So and I think solely the reason why he failed P Company was because he never got to see home as much. But you think, well, if you want it, you've got to sacrifice. I was all right. I lived pretty close to Catterick. I was the first out the door, one of the last back. And then
Out of interest, mate. Yeah.
And then when I passed P Company, the corporals can do a bit more to you because after passing P Company, you're practically a paratrooper, basically. And we all got beasted in the corridor, and I got extra beasting because I lived so close. And he went, well, you don't need to rush off now, do you? So I left to go home on Friday evening before Christmas leave. A sweaty mess. But it was all good.
How just out of interest, mate, how did your family feel about you going in and taking that path? Was that something that they supported?
Yes. I had my dad and my mum come to the careers office because I was 17 when I signed, and the fully were behind me.
That's got to make a difference, doesn't it?
It wasn't till Afghanistan, because I've always said this, when Ross Kemp did them Afghan programs, I think that opened the eyes to families back home, because military people don't like telling stuff. It's hard because people don't understand.
Yeah.
And when Ross Kemp did that, people were watching and seeing what British soldiers are getting up to. And then on the news, you start seeing the
Mm.
bodies. And then it was that incident, I think, with the Welsh regiment or Welsh, something like that, where it was the biggest incident where their commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel, died, I believe, if memory serves me, died also in that. And I think that was not long before I deployed. So when I told my dad and my family I'm deploying to Afghanistan, my dad's the kind of guy that he doesn't really show like a sad emotion because he's
Mm.
from, tough times, tough men kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
tough times create hard men. Yeah.
to see him get teary-eyed, it kind of hit me.
Mm.
And then when I got blew up in the Land Rover,
Fucking hell, mate.
I
You say
told me,
that so casually, Nick.
well, I can now, but at the time,
Yeah.
I was hitting myself.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It just happened like that. We
Mm.
were so lucky it was designed to basically for a soldier to stand on and take him out of the game because one soldier gets injured. Now it takes
Mm.
four of our soldiers. Most of the time, it's better to maim your enemy, injure them, and kill them because you
Mm.
take so many people out of the game.
Yeah.
And there was three of us. I was top gunner on the GPMG, the big machine gun, for those who might not know. And it just, boom, big dust cloud. I fell down. Ears were ringing. And in good male sporting fashion, get the crown jewels. If they're still there, I'm okay. Yeah. And when you watch movies, you're always like, especially when you're military, oh, that's a bit, that doesn't happen. Especially with grenades, etc. And then the only thing that relates basically from films to actual is when things start slowing down, etc. And that does
Mm.
happen. One guys were coming with the metal detectors, and I was trying to get out, and I was getting shaky leg, and then once he checked the area so we could get out, just to the right of us, so if we parked up just to the right, there was a big heat, there was a big signature, and they were saying it could be an anti-tank mine. If we drove over that, all
Game
three of us
over.
would have been mincemeat, definitely.
Fucking hell. What were you in at the time?
A little soft-skin armoured Land Rover, so
Oof.
not very
Yeah.
much protection. Thankfully, it just shot up the engine, a 105 shell that they were saying, and that's just basically a pressure plate mine just for someone to stand on, have their lower leg or full leg blown off. But thankfully, no one was seriously injured.
That's enough, mate, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, that's a daft question, but I take it while you were on tour, you were shot at and things like that.
Well, obviously, everything like happens. I don't normally blag about stuff on operations
Mm.
because it's not something that I do. At the end of the day, we all do our bit. Some of our soldiers see a bit more action on operations than others. Some people kind of would lie a bit, especially in Afghanistan, because seeing the enemy is sometimes
Mm.
quite difficult. So
Yeah.
I never try and lie about the operations. Yeah, I have experienced it. Some have experienced a bit more.
Mm.
Um, there you go.
I
It's one
mean,
of those.
in that incident, that particular incident, like how do you pull yourself back together the next day to go back out again?
You have to. It's what
Mm.
you're trained for. You can like you have your little moment, kind of thing. Then you crack
Mm.
on. It's
Yeah.
that. If you lose your head on operations, you
Oh,
become a
yeah,
weak
yeah.
link.
Mm.
You become a weak link, and if you lose your head while say on a patrol, etc., you could lose your own life, but also someone else could lose your own life by you not being switched on.
I would
It,
imagine, mate. Would I be right in thinking there's that kind of thing kind of increases the camaraderie between you and your fellow soldiers?
oh yeah, definitely.
Because the only reason, don't get me wrong, mate, is a very, very different situation. But for a period of my life, I worked as a bailiff across the UK, and things would happen. You know, lads got run over, all these kind of things. And I remember there were times where we'd then come together and you'd have banter about, oh, this bloke tried to kill me, this bloke ran me over, and it was all banter and a laugh. And it was only probably years later, some of the situations I found myself in, I reflected on and thought, fucking hell, that was a bit heavy. But at the time, it was just like, it's just another day. It's Tuesday. You know what I mean? And it's the only thing I could ever compare to that.
Yeah. When I was in Iraq, when I was back in the army, I used to wear contact lenses. I got my eyes lasered when I left. So I always, in one of my pouches, used to take a couple of spare, because in the desert and all them kind of countries, it is quite dusty. I did use like shades, shooting goggles kind of thing, but sometimes I couldn't be bothered to wear them. And I remember I had the ladders, obviously me backpack on and all my body armor, and we got hit with a bit of a dust cloud, and I was like, and because we were the weapons that we use, we could use both arms. Were trained, and obviously I did that, and I went, oh shit, I've lost my contact lens. So I'm walking around like that, thinking, and I've got ladders, and I'm like, if we get attacked, if we come under fire, I'm fucked here. I can't even fucking see. But like I say, I was walking around like that, so I kind of swapped round. So I'm using my left with my rifle, and so if something happens, I could shoot that way. You know, but you adapt and overcome to any things that go wrong. That's just how we dealt with it. Something went
It's
down.
interesting. Yeah.
Assess the situation, adapt, overcome, crack on, bosh.
It's interesting, mate. The reason I'm asking these things is to try and like establish that background of the resilience that you developed. I mean, we'll move on to. I'm sure we could do a whole podcast episode about your military service. Absolutely sure. I'm sure you've got stories coming out your ears for it. But one of the things that I want to get into is post your service. I mean, I think what we'll take it to now is what made you leave the military. Let's pause there a moment to say a massive thank you to our headline sponsors, Zinza. Now, I am over the moon that Zinza have got on board to support the Talking Tradesman podcast, because genuinely we use Zinza products on virtually every job we do in my business as a painter and decorator. Zinza are a renowned and established brand. They do things like primers, sealers, and stain block coatings, and also things like the mold and mildew resistant finishes that they produce, such as the Perma White in front of me here. Zinza are well known for their stain block and adhesion primers, such as Bin and Bullseye 123, and their new product, the Bin Aqua. Zinza's products are well known for their high performance and ease of use. They cater to both the professional and DIY market, and the Talking Tradesmen are once again over the moon to have sponsored with Zinza as our headline sponsor. Now let's get back to the episode.
Well, you know, it's one of those where you get into trouble a few times, and then the people that you befriended in the military, etc. Because of after Iraq finished, everyone was kind of leaving the military and going and doing security abroad. So when I came out of the military, my friends were like, do you fancy doing anti-piracy? And I was like, piracy? Like Captain Jack Sparrow? They went, no, man, you lunatic. But yeah, piracy. But it over in like the Red Sea, Arabian Sea, around Africa, etc. So I went and done all me courses, get geared up, and then I put me CV out to loads of different maritime companies, go and do different jobs with different companies, and then, you know, I wanted a bit more long-term kind of thing. So I wanted like to be on a contract so I would go away for a few months, come back, blah blah blah. And yeah, I went with this American company. Yeah, they had, you know, stuff happen, and people were like, but they got taken over, and things had started changing and looking and being a bit more professional. So, and they gave me the option 2 months away, 1 month home. And I
Okay.
was like, that's ideal to me. That's ideal. Some people have been away for like 3, 4 months, come back a couple of weeks because they're bored. The
I mean,
wives have spent their money, and then they want to get away
nitty
again.
gritty,
Yeah,
into the nitty gritty of it, Nick. Like, is the money better?
I enjoyed it. Going to
But it,
different countries, going on ships. Yeah, what being on watch, it is pretty mundane, staring into the ocean. Sometimes the only time you know there's a vessel nearby is looking on the radar. That's how vast the ocean is.
yeah, of
You don't
course.
realise it because the majority of the times people look at that as on a bloody map. You know what
Mm,
I mean? But being on the high seas, it's an experience.
I bet, man.
And I did enjoy it, mixing with the crew, you know, from different nationalities, going to different countries. Okay, some weren't as great, but being in Durban, South Africa, Oman, Muscat, a few times through with the army, Jordan, Egypt, Dubai, sometimes, you know, Sri
How did
Lanka
the
was there quite.
pay compare, Nick? Was it a lot better financially doing private than being in active service?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
Right.
But money's not everything.
No.
We, if I, if people say, "Oh, you just did it for the money," well, yeah. What do you do your job for? You do it for the money.
100%, mate. Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
enjoyed it as well.
Mm,
You know, I did enjoy it as well. And I stayed in Sri Lanka for like 10 days on 2 occasions, getting paid, getting
mm.
pissed on the beach. That's like 2 holidays for nothing and getting paid for it. Can't complain
Yeah.
there, can you? Can't complain.
So when it was anti-piracy, is that, so you were the armed presence on
Yeah,
board vessels to stop anybody? See, when you say piracy, mate, my head straight away goes to like Captain Phillips. It's
yeah,
my boat
yeah.
now. You
It's
know what I mean?
basically like Captain Phillips. Captain Phillips, when when we get to it, like he was a good supporter, and he did an actual interview. The real Captain Phillips did an actual
Really?
interview with my local ITV Time Tees, basically supporting her and saying if we had armed guards on our vessel, we wouldn't have been hijacked. And that is a fact. No ship's been hijacked with armed guards. It
Really?
won't happen. It won't happen unless they come out with a million ships. But you would straight be on the phone. Well, the captain would be alerting the naval vessels from various countries, helicopters out, and they would take care of it. But because you only have so much ammunition between either a team of 3 or a team of 4.
Mm,
And compared to being on land, where on land when the shit goes down, it's bosh, bosh, bosh. You don't realise when you're on a vessel how much time you have. I've seen a few skiffs, the small speedboats and all you do is you go out. If they keep coming, do obviously what you need to do. Maybe go and get your helmet and body armor and get the weapon out, and just show them. And
mm,
but yet one is looking for the binos to try and identify if they are, because they could just be anyone,
mm.
especially depending how far away from land you are. So you can't treat everyone as a pirate coming to attack your vessel. Definitely not.
Mm.
You've just got to have. your wits about you, be professional, and see who exactly they are. We had a little experience going down the Red Sea, because they would normally try and attack either early morning or late in the evening, and we were coming down the Red Sea, and when it started to become a little bit daylight, it was so eerie quiet. The sea was like a sheet of glass, so smooth. And then we saw a little boat. There must have been about 5 or 6 of them in there. I was on bridge at the time, so I was on my watch. I informed, right, can you come up? We could have, piracy involvement. I looked, got the binos, couldn't see anything. What they were just spotters. So as soon as we go by, because they would make sure they would try and see which vessel would have security on.
Right.
And I made myself known. They saw me. So once we go by, we would obviously make a note of it. They would have been straight down to where the Bab el Mandeb is, where the Red Sea meets the IRTC corridor, but then go out into the Arabian Sea, obviously African Ocean kind of thing. And they would be on the phone and go, right, don't get that vessel, it's got security on.
Right. So a lot of the time, just being a visual deterrent was enough.
Yeah, visual deterrent. They don't want to risk it because
Yeah,
they're
of
bobbing
course,
around, they're on cat, they're off their tits. We're on a sturdy platform. We're professional ex-soldiers. They're not going to stand a chance.
No.
Simple as that.
What was the worst? I mean, I think I probably know the answer, mate. But what was the worst area for piracy?
Around the little islands around Bab el Mandeb, down at the bottom of the Red Sea, around Djibouti. It's so quick for them to try and take the vessel right to Somalia and on the Horn of Africa as well. They were the main hotspots, but they could be anywhere in the ocean. They use mother ships, so they'll steal like a big fishing vessel and try and hide their little speedboats in it. So if there's any naval helicopters going around doing patrols, they can just pass as fishermen, go further out to sea, drop, and try and attack.
I mean, do they get many boats, mate? Because the fact that they keep trying would indicate that there must be some reward.
They do, but you don't really hear much of it now. But they did. And like I say, there was a ship when I was on a vessel and they got it. I think it was a Taiwanese captain. They said to the shipping company, we want so much $1 million. The shipping company went, go fuck yourself. They went, okay, chopped his hand off, the captain, and went, your captain's now got one hand. We want money now. And the shipping company, I think, dropped their arse. Because the pirates don't want to do is kill the crew. They want to use them as a bartering chip. Because, at the end of the day, they can't really use the ship. So they'll get in if the crew don't make it to the citadel. When we come on board, we always say, right, watch your defences. Some ships are pretty good and they've got their defences like that with the water cannons, barbed wire, and barricade the citadel. And we were on a vessel and wow, they blew our mind because they were shit scared and they took it seriously. Some ships are like, no bother. And then next minute they're on the coast of Somalia being held captive.
Yeah.
And there you go. If you take things serious, even if it could be just a precaution, it'll save your life.
That makes sense to me, mate. Yeah, I mean, if I was in that situation, if I was crew, I would certainly feel a lot better knowing that I've got lads like you that were trained professionals to look after us. How how long were you doing that, Nick? Before obviously what happened happened, and we get into what happened. But
Yeah,
how long were you serving as anti-piracy prior to that?
a few, yeah,
Oh right,
couple of
okay, so
years.
it was a while.
Yeah, a couple of years working for various companies, and then, like I say, I joined this American company, and we did a job from, I think it was Jordan, if memory serves, Jordan, Jordan to Sri Lanka, and then got on the plane, and then went up to Muscat,
Mm.
and then we got to Muscat to go back down to Sri Lanka again. And our company had holding vessels, which it saves money, time, and effort than getting a boat near where the ship's going to come out. It was like $4,000 for a pilot boat to come pick
Mm.
your kit and security up, take them to port. Then you've got to go through all the rigmarole, and then you've got to store certain ports. You could store your kit and weapons, etc. That costs time and money.
Mm.
So our company was just trying to save money, kind of thing. Yeah, sometimes people might go, "Oh, wait, it was dodgy, blah blah." Every company did a bit of dodginess, for God's sakes, to try and save money, because
Mm.
the port authorities are dodgy in these countries around the world. They know what money we make, so they could easily go, "Your passport's frayed. Oh, we'll not give you the permit unless you give us a bit of..."
Yeah.
Bribery is second nature in these countries. Tell me otherwise. I've experienced it. So within 2 days into our trip to Sri Lanka, we were informed to get off near Sri Lanka and board our holding vessel, which we would disembark our bulk carrier that we were on, and then go onto our company vessel, hand in our kit and equipment, weapons. They would be stored away in pelly boxes, etc. And then you would just get a bed, chill out, and wait for further operations. Unfortunately, our vessel at the time was running low on fuel and provisions. There was a couple of our teams disappearing and one or two coming on. And then we ceased operations to acquire fuel and provisions. And this has got nothing to do with me, but the shipping company, the company, the crew, captain, etc., and the agent who was in India, all organising this fuel and provisions. And then there was a storm, and under the Maritime Act, you can kind of seek shelter in the neighbouring country.
Right.
All the legal ramifications. Yes, people can say, yes, you were illegally in Indian waters. Yeah, we never said we weren't in Indian waters. The funny thing is, the police couldn't prove where we were, and that's what a lot of people don't realise. They might
Mm.
try and, quote Indian law and all this niff-naff. Unless you were there, shut up. You haven't got a clue. But I'm never going to deny that, yes, we shouldn't have been there. And unfortunately, we were, because the ship that was to bring the fuel and provisions was moaning we were too far out. And under the cover of darkness, when we were asleep, the captain buckled and brought us a bit further in.
Right.
And me personally, I can say this now, we have a sneaky feeling the chief officer could get signal. He says he hadn't been paid, and he's whinged on. God knows what he said. And then on the 11th of October 2013, We were taking fuel on. I said to the TDO, which is the Tactical Deployment Officer, which is the guy in charge of the armed guards, I said, right, good night, see you later. And then he rudely woke us early doors of the 12th and went, we've been boarded at gunpoint and we've been told to make our way to the port in India, the southeast coast in the region of Tamil Nadu. And I asked whereabouts were we, because you don't need to ask questions. You're just there chilling, waiting to go back on another ship. And he says, "Oh, we're certain amount of nautical miles away from land." I was like, that should only take an hour, 2 hours max. He went, yeah. I went, why does this vessel seem like it's going super slow? Like, most vessels would go probably around 10, 12 knots. We were going about 2, 3, 4, something like that, very slow. And I was like, this doesn't sit right, but you just go, all right, well, you know what the score is, they look for any opportunity to try and get a little bit of money. And then we got closer to the port and we were welcomed with a massive welcome committee. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, there seems a lot of people there, what's going on? And then once everything kind of settled down, we heard there was different organisations as far as Mumbai, and I'm thinking, whoa, hang on a minute. There's no way them fuckers got down there that quick. No way. Something's not right, but you just let that slide because you're thinking, right, what's going on? And then it was just an absolute gang fuck. It was just manic. Screaming, shouting, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. We complied. The TGO and some of the more senior guys, like the team leaders, would go in with some of the, obviously they were taking turns, the different police organisations, showing them the weapons, showing them that they are legal weapons, ammunition, kit, all stored in the pelly box. Yeah. They just started filtering out. And then the local police organisation, the anti-terrorist organisation, Q branch, were not happy. They looked a bit like, we look like we've had a slap in the face. So they just turned around and went, weapons found, illegal, arrest these men, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, whoa, what's going on? But they never got off the vessel. And they were just constantly just going round and around and around. And then I think after 4 days of being in port, they removed all 35 weapons. There was 35 people on that vessel, but only 25 were security. So only 25 could use them weapons. But the way the local Indians got it in their head was 35 weapons, 35 men. And then they started with a little bullshit lies to the media, and they were saying, it could be a Mumbai-style attack to attack the nuclear power plant. The head of their navy, their highest admiral, went, basically, we've got them live on TV, and we're just like, what on earth is going on? Then it started filtering. We've obviously informed the shipping, our company. We've also informed the British government. Then, I couldn't get a signal at the time. I had to ring my network because, silly me, I forgot to unlock it to use abroad at the time. So I managed to get that done. And then some of the Estonians were saying, have you seen this? Have you seen that? And I'm like, what? They're putting out, we're selling weapons to fishermen, or Tamil Tigers, the Sri Lankan terrorist organisation, or freedom fighters. And I'm thinking, what on earth are they saying about us? And then it filtered over to the British families, and I'm talking to me sister. I didn't really speak to my mum because I didn't really want to worry her. But I spoke to my dad, because when you're going out, I didn't really. I'm doing security abroad on ships. That's all I used to say. And I used to give me family details of what I do, you know. But they've seen these articles online posted by different Indian organisations in the media. And my dad goes, right, I'm reading you're doing illegal activities, you're selling weapons, you're gun running. I want to know the truth. I went, Dad, I'm protecting shipping crew and their vessel and cargo from piracy. Everything's above board. He went, right, okay, no problem. That's fine. I just wanted to hear it from you because we didn't believe it, but we didn't want to just not believe it. You know, it's not something that they get to witness.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
at this point then, Nick, just to clarify,
yeah,
so while this is going on, are you held on the vessel in port or have you been arrested at this stage?
we're held on the vessel. We
Right.
spent 6 days. And then we got up in the morning. Paul, who was the TGO, on the morning of the 18th of October, he went, right, they've come with 2 bus loads and a load of police. They've told we're going to hospital, but come on, you know you're not going to hospital, you know where you're going. Because at hospital, you wouldn't not be allowed to take a belt, reading glasses, your wallet, your phones, and stuff. We were told, just you in your clothes, that's it. You're going to hospital for checkup. And we're like,
Right.
aye, okay. We know where we're going. Time to make your phone calls. So at the time, the UK was 4.5 hours behind India. So it's like early morning here. Families are bed. I wouldn't ring my dad because I know I would never wake him up. He'd be in a deep sleep. And it's something I regret. I wish I didn't, but I had to because I'm a mammy's boy. So I originally rang my sister. I thought she's going to be more wanting to deal with the embassy and all that. We've got a close relationship, but she never answered the phone. And I decided to ring my mum, and she was not asleep. She was tossing and turning, so she answered her phone, and I was like, Mum, you know what's happening? She was like, yeah. I went, right, they're arresting her, they're removing her off the ship. I love you. I'll be okay. And I'll speak to you when I speak to you, and I'll see you when I see you, but I'll be okay. And that's the last ever time I've spoke to my mum properly. Even though it was kind of a bit groggy on her end.
Yeah.
And immediately, my sister rang back, and I went, ring the embassy now. They are taking us, they are arresting us now. She went, right, okay. And we got in our uniform because we are professional. And it was like 2 police armed guards per person. It was so cramped. it was ridiculous. Madame Q Branch, the woman in charge of the investigation, the woman that ruined 4 years of our lives, screaming and shouting to get things moved. We did go kind of not go to a hospital. We went to the police station where some guy kind of pretended he's a doctor and yeah. We're all crammed in this little room. Didn't get fed. I think we got a bottle of water each. And no one was going like, what? Everyone was going like, what's going on? There was no one from our company, no one from the embassy allowed to say what. One of the ship crew could speak English, and he was a local, so he was our interpreter.
Right.
They were, sign this or we'll ruin your life. I went, it's a blank piece of paper. I'm not signing fuck all, mate. What's your name? I went, my name's in that passport. Read it. Couldn't even read it, man. That thick as mince. It was hell. My head was starting. All I could think of was what the fuck's going on and my family. But I tried to not think of my family because that is your weakness. I was just, keep my head together. Let's see what happens. And then they basically took me away. It was getting dark. And then it was pitch black. And then we pulled up. And I went, what the fuck is that? I looked at the date of when this prison was built. And I went, oh, man. It was clearly built when the British ruled India. And then when the local prison realised there were 6 British involved, they were fucking doing cartwheels. Because in Tamil Nadu, they despise us.
Right.
Absolutely despise. And we'll never forget the British rule. They were practically doing cartwheels. We're all thrown in this like outhouse thing. And then the next day, the embassy turned up at prison and we just went, what is going on? And they were like, we haven't a clue. We got obviously information from yous saying you've been, because before we left, they were like, they're taking we now. Some say the embassy wasn't allowed to come to port to the vessel. Whether that's true or not, I think that might have just been a bit of hearsay. But they basically said, look, yeah, the phones have been going apeshit. Your families are distressed. Please, while we're here for a short time, write to your families. And I didn't even know what I wrote. I'm all right.
You know.
All this cape, and they go, and then you spend another night. They gave her like half-cooked jacket potatoes and boiled eggs. Some of the Indians were eating rice and dal, etc. It was absolutely fucking awful.
And at this point, you've got no idea what's going on. You don't know why you're there.
I've got a headache because you don't know what's going on. Had to wipe my arse with my hand and then wash it in water out. There's no toilet roll. They don't use toilet roll over there. It was just fucking horrible, man. I was just like, what on earth's going on? And then the next day they went, right, foreigners, boss, you're going to Chennai. So the 12 Indians, they stayed in that prison for the duration. We got shipped up, the 23 foreigners, which is 6 British, 14 Estonian and 3 Ukrainian. We went up to Chennai, which was nearly like a 14-hour bus ride. It was horrendous. It was packed. It was hot. You've got police with weapons falling asleep, barrels going all over. You don't know the state of their weapons. So you've got your head pounding. You're trying not to think your family, and you're trying to think, not get your head blown off if they hit a bump in the road and they pull the trigger accidentally. It was absolutely horrendous. We got to Puzal prison in Chennai, the remand prison. In darkness, we went to the compound that had the foreign nationals. It was little cells at the time, I think 10 by 8, something like that, 8 by 10. We were in a cell of 4, so 1
4
Estonian
people,
and 3 British.
4
And
people in 10 by 8. Is that right?
yes, we were. It was
Fucking hell.
cramped,
Yeah.
absolutely cramped. And then when daylight happened, we walked into the compound, and I went, "What the fuck is going on here? What the fuck is going on?" And then, as the days went by, you know, one of the Sri Lankans, he could speak English. He was reading the local paper, and he was translating, saying, "You are terrorists. You're selling weapons." The Indian media were just lying through their backside. They were chatting shit, painting us as the bad guys, you know. And it's not nice being told by people that we're reading that you're a terrorist, we're reading that you're selling weapons, we're reading that you're trying to do terrorist activity. And I'm like, I'm a fucking security guard on a vessel, mate. What the fuck?
How, with that going on, Nick, I mean, how was that in prison? Like, did anyone take a pop at you because they thought you were terrorists, or what was that like?
The Nigerians and that came over, went, "Can you sort with some weapons out?" We went, "Shut up, man, you absolute bellends, man." The Indians, the local Indians, it was nearly a mile to the kitchen. We decided to cook our own food.
Yeah.
So we had to go and get vegetables, which they were disgusting, just lying on the floor. Cats, rats pissed on them, so you have to wash them. Half the time there were scraps. As the weeks, the months went by, and when we've got no charges at the time, and then we get charges, illegal entry into India, possession of illegal arms, and the crew got an extra charge, procurement of illegal diesel for the vessel. You know, they through time get struck off. The only illegal thing that happened was that vessel was not allowed to carry fuel and distribute it. I don't care
Right.
what anyone else says. They couldn't even prove where we were. They were trying to use a little island as saying that's India, and we're like, no, you're just full of shit. But that's like way down the line. But they lied to get weapons offences to say only 6 weapons out of the 35 were illegal. That's funny enough, because the 6 weapons that they said were illegal were from BIS, which is a government British department that issued them. It's funny that, isn't it? 6 British, but there was 35 weapons, but yet only 6 of those weapons are illegal, which happen to be British. And what's about to start? Trade deals with India and the UK. But you don't think this at the time. I can look
Yeah.
back now and go, we were political pawns, so India
Yeah.
could get a better trade deal. 100%. 100%.
I mean, what happened there, Nick? Like, in terms of the UK government, did they do anything to help you guys?
No. But what I will say is the embassy girls, brilliant. From my experience. Others might have said blah, blah. Me personally, I have nothing bad to say about the girls, especially for what they had to inform me with 5 days before Christmas, 2013, when we used to get a meeting with the embassy girls. One of the lads, Billy, he got told to stay behind as we left, and that he came back. He went, "Oh, me dad, me brother, and me girlfriend's girlfriend at the time, they're married now, is coming to see us. Great. Yeah. And then getting close to Christmas, like it happened again. Oh, Nick, can you stay behind? Fucking yes, I'm buzzing, me like a Cheshire cat, buzzing. And then the embassy girl's face just changed. And I went, she gave us a letter from my sister. And to this day, I don't even know what it said. It just, don't worry, your mum's okay. Don't worry. And even to this day, it feels like yesterday and it hurts. And I'm honest, and I'm true in what I say. It broke me. It broke me. My mum had a double aneurysm while at the hairdresser's 5 days before Christmas. And she was basically told by the surgeon, if we don't operate, she dies. But if we operate, it's 50-50. And my sister was the next of kin. She went, operate now. And she saved, this Indian surgeon saved my mum's life.
Wow.
My mum now can't talk properly because of it. Sometimes she'll bang a sentence out and knocks you for six because it was crystal clear. But then after that, it comes across as gobbledygook. And I've said this, I would sell my soul to the devil for one day just to hear my mum's voice properly. I have nothing. I have no memories. So that's why I say to people, make memories, record those memories with your loved ones, because one day they will not be here. And I would not want them to witness and feel like what I do. I will do anything to hear that, and I can't. I can't. And that hurts. And to be in that position and to be told that, my life just fucking ended. And I had to walk nearly a mile back. I was having abuse thrown at me, stones thrown at me by the local Indians. That pain was fuck all to what I've just witnessed. And the red mist is coming down, and I'm like, if I consume that red mist, I'm gonna fucking kill every fucker in here. And you will have to kill me. But I, as a professional, I held it together, and I got to our compound, and Paul saw me, and he went, come on. And he took me away, and I just broke down. I went, Paul, I can't do it. I can't do it, Paul. He went, you fucking can. You're a paratrooper. You're a paratrooper. Remember, you will not let these bastards beat you and grind you down. And I went, and I composed myself, and I got myself together, and I went, you're right. They will do this to get in you, to destroy you. They knew if they laid a hand on us, we would fight back.
Yeah.
Physical torture, your mind will tell you to go numb. Mental torture is on a different ballpark. And they did that to a T. They did that. And we were in that prison for about nearly 6 months till we got bail. We got bail in April 2014. So we spent Christmas and New Year. My birthday is on the 1st of March. My sister came out to visit me on my birthday, and to see my sister come alone to visit our brother, our baby brother, wrongly convicted in a prison, was fucking horrible. But it was so amazing, because I tell you what, that gave me the mental strength to fight these bastards and not give in.
Yeah.
I was like, no. It was horrible to see her go, but it had to happen. And it got me mentally prepared. And then we got bail. we had to sign bail twice a day for a few months. And then in July 2014, the case quashed. We've no charges. And under Indian law, there's like a 90-day. So after 90 days, if they do not appeal, because our case was at the High Court, Bosch. So they've got the chance to appeal, but to the Supreme Court. So for 90 days, we're thinking it's costing money to stay in a hostel because the company just dropped it on our arse and didn't fucking pay. We didn't pay hotel. I was like, we've been just left here to fucking rot and fend for ourselves here. And then this is what I mean by mentally torturing you on day 88 when you're just about to go, we're free, we can come home. They lodged an appeal into Supreme Court and it was accepted.
Fucking hell, mate.
That crushed our family.
So just to clarify then, Nick, so they've arrested you, they've put you in prison, they've held you for 6 months, they've given you bail, and then they've squashed the conviction, but during that time you had to stay in the country for 90 days to allow them to appeal, and on the 88th day they put the appeal in.
Yes.
That's horrendous,
so from
mate.
April to July, we were out of prison, signing bail twice a day, and then we had to do then another further 90 days. And then we're in India, no charges, but they kept us. Then they started the rigmarole of putting charges back on me. I was going to plan escape. I lost my shit. I thought, fuck this, I'm not staying here. I was getting in contact with people in Mumbai to try and, obviously I'm not going to say names, to arrange a dodgy passport with a Pukajen stamp of the date of me being in with a 6 month or like an extra stamp because it would have elapsed, so another stamp. And it was going to cost a lot of money. I spoke to my family. They got behind it in a way, but were very apprehensive. And then I came to my senses. I went, I'm in a country that's not the same colour skin. I'm in a place where not many Westerners go to as such. Every state is differently ran. It's a police state. There's nearly a group of police officers on every corner you'd go around. I stand out because I was a bit more musclier. I've got tattoos. And I went, no. It's all right. It's going to take about 18 hours on the train to get to Mumbai from Chennai, and it would be risky. So I didn't go through with it. And then it got to the point where, obviously, 2015 was near coming to an end. Sorry, 2014, so another Christmas in India, another birthday in India. Okay, it was a lot better. I wasn't in prison, but I'm in a place that I don't want to be. I want to be home with my family.
Of course.
Because it's the not knowing what's coming next. And this is what I mean by mental torture. They're keeping illegally, and we're saying to the British government, they are illegally holding us against our will, you fucking nuggets. Get us home. You can do it. But because trade deals are going on, they don't want to rock the boat, do they? And that's the only time I will say that the British government really let us down. They didn't get us out when they could, and they left it and prolonged it because they believed, oh, things will be resolved. And we're like, you're not dealing with them like us, man. And then Christmas, like I say, Christmas and my birthday, they, if my memory serves, they lodged an appeal at the Supreme Court. And then our charges were put back on us, which started the ball rolling again. And in India, it goes a snail's pace. It's not quick. You think our courts may be slow. Their cases hardly move. And that's probably because they were telling them, do not touch that case yet. Let them suffer more. And then 2015, they start doing the proceedings at Supreme Court. And as you know, tensions are gonna run high. We're all missing our family. We're in a country we shouldn't be in. They've become a split faction. The Estonians get their own lawyer. The problem is their lawyer was a higher caste than our lawyer.
Right.
So when it was at the Supreme Court, the police have lied and said their waffle. So the judge has gone, right, okay. They know what our stance is. Why were you there? We were there for the sole purpose of fuel and provisions. Nothing more. So when it come to the case, the court, because the Estonian's lawyer was a higher caste, he got up and spoke before our lawyer. We told them, tell your legal team the same as ours. And that is it. 2-1. Bosh. We're going home. I don't know why the vessel was there. I'm just here for them. Their vessel, they're just on this vessel as passengers, blah, blah. Well, the judge stopped listening when he said, oh, I don't know why the vessel was there. And apparently our legal team just went, oh, fuck. And then when news got down to Chennai from New Delhi, we were fucking pissed off with them twats. And I get on with a couple of them. Don't get me wrong, great lads. But we were royally fucked. You just fucking extended this, you bellends. Real angry. So that caused a bit of tension, as you can understand.
100%.
And then, because the judge is left with a predicament, he's gone, well, we're going to have to have a trial. Well, when that happened, they were doing cartwheels, because guess where the trial would be? Back in the lion's den, back where it all began. To the Corinne. And we're like, oh. We had to go to court, and I was staying in Chennai because an ex-partner, I met her over there, so she was staying with me sometimes, and I didn't want to move down there. Paul and Ray moved, and I think Billy moved down there so they could be with the legal team for the trial. So when it was legal, proceedings in the courts would all go down. So that was like nearly a 9.5, 14 hour, depending how the journey went. And I was like, this is knackering. And they were like, we come and stay down there. I was like, I've got a lass, man. She's really nice, really caring, love her to bits. She'll always have a place in my heart. And she knows that for what she did. Obviously, shit happens in life. And then this is what really threw me off. When they were doing all the cross-examination, so the collector of the evidence is in the stand getting grilled off our legal team, and we had to wait to get it translated off our legal team. He went, right, if I'd saw the ballistics expert's report saying that the weapons were not fully automatic, I wouldn't have put the charges on the men. And I just felt violently sick. I went, that's perjury. You fucking lied. But that doesn't matter in India, because they lie while looking at you square in the eye and smiling because they can't say no. They lie instead. And I said to my legal team, I am not coming back to court unless he, the judge, requests us all to be there, which on some occasions they did that just to look good for the media. It was fucking annoying. And we had Christmas and our legal team went, we've done everything we can. Hopefully the judge will see sense, and after Christmas recess, and when we come back for the decision on the 10th of January, 10th or 11th, if memory serves me, that's it.
How were you feeling at that point, Nick? Like knowing that you almost, you had the guillotine hanging over your head metaphorically. How were you feeling at that point? Did you feel like it was going to go your way or not?
I try to be optimistic as best as I can. I'm a realist as well. So I always looked at it as 50-50. But when you witness some of the stuff, like we were getting regular updates from the horse's mouth, this is what's been happening in court. And we're like, bosh. The weapon cannot fire fully automatic, Your Honour. Duly noted. When that happened and they told us in Chennai we were like, that's it. And I was telling my family, I said, the judge knows the weapons aren't illegal. He knows. That's it. We're going home. And then we go to court. I've got the British media fucking bombarding us. My family's with the media as well, getting into position. I was the last to turn up at court. There is an actual YouTube video of the kid. You see me in the blue t-shirt storming in because I was fucking raging because the media didn't realise the time difference and the rungers, and I was still in bed. I was raging because I just wanted to try and have a sleep, which was hard enough because I'm thinking, am I going home or am I going to prison?
Yeah.
Because they were saying if we get convicted, it could be 5 to 7 years. On top of what we've already done, because foreigners don't get time served.
Right.
So if we'd have done what we got convicted, it would have been close to nearly 10 years for a crime we hadn't committed. So we got to the courtroom. It was ridiculously hot. Blah de blah. A little break, back in for the verdict. And then the judge has obviously said something to his little helper. He stood up, said something, so we were at the back bench, all stood up, and as you look down, you've got on the centre, the judge, the lady typing it all up, his little minion, the embassy from Estonia and UK, and all the prosecution, Madame Q branch. And then he stood up, no. And Madame Q branch didn't know how quick to get her flip-flops out that prison. And our embassy girls were straight on their phones as well to New Delhi. And I said to Roman, one of the Estonians, I went, Roman, do you find something funny? Why is there loads of police down the side of the court, but outside?
Right.
We're all stood at the back. And I tell you what, I've seen some scared faces in my time, from my time in the army, from women and children. but I've never seen a person that is not in that situation go to a group of 35 men like our lawyer did. He was shitting himself. And we're like, come on, what happened? And he went, 5 years. And we're like, what? 5 years for weapons offence. And I'm just stood there and I've gone, what the fuck, man? How am I meant to fucking tell me family, man? How am I meant to tell me mum again? How am I meant to do that? And I rung me dad because I rang my sister. I went, get the mums. She says, we're getting sorted. I went, now. And I hung up and I rung me dad. I went, Dad. He went, right, what's going on? I went, it's not good. He went, what do you mean it's not good? I said, Dad, weapons? He went, the fucking weapons are fine, man. I went, Dad, they're not in their eyes. The lying bastards are fucking sending wood to 5 years in prison. And my dad just went, right, okay. I said, Dad, Lisa's ringing us. I've got to go. And I answered the phone. I went, and my sisters went, you're on loudspeaker. And I always use this as a reference. I said, if you ever hear the screams of a wounded animal, you'll understand what I mean, because they're horrific. And I said to my sister, I went, wait, to my sister and my mum's close friend and the media were behind listening on loudspeaker. And I went, Mum, I'm not coming home. I'm not coming home for 5 years. And honestly, the fucking scream down the phone still haunts me to this day. It was horrendous. And the red mist's coming again, and I'm just wanting to just fucking strangle that twat. I wanted to fucking destroy that judge. I wanted to just throw everything away. I wanted to let the red mist consume me so badly. But you know what? If I did that, I fuck everything up for everyone.
Absolutely.
And I'm an innocent man. And they would twist that and go, well, he's guilty, isn't he? Look at how he's responded. He's guilty. And I'm like, and the embassy girls were just looking at me and they went, have you got any stuff in that hotel that you stayed in? I went, aye. They went, you can't get back? I went, well, fucking know that. But they did speak. So under like police escort, we kind of got all our stuff from the little hotel that we stayed overnight. And then we just gave it to the embassy. And I rang Mona Lisa. She was bawling down the phone. I went, look, do me this last favour and get on with your life, because they're sending me away for 5 years. I said, do me this last favour, go to me hostel, pack all my belongings, and take it to the embassy. And what she told me when she got to my room, she just broke down on the floor. The cleaners in the hostel had to scrape her off the floor because they saw that on the news when she turned up. Because I built a little rapport with the hostel. They watched it on the news, and she turned up, and they were devastated. There were really nice people in that hostel. The Indians, they were devastated. So they sent the cleaners to help bag me stuff and help her. That's how kind they were. You know, and I told her to get on with her life. And the next day, when we went back to Chennai, she was trying to get in to see us. She did that for a week. And like I say, it was just an absolute nightmare.
I just want to thank you for sharing that again, Nick, because I can see how raw that still is, and that you go straight back to that moment and those moments every time that you're recounting this. So I appreciate you sharing it, mate.
No, like I say, it's something that, yes, with time, it does ease, but I like to mention them simply because they are devastating things to say,
Mm,
so people can really understand what we as innocent men went through. I can only share my experiences.
mm,
We all felt the same, that our lives had been destroyed. For what? A better trade deal? Because that's practically what it was. And
How did
every time I look at my mum, that's my gentle reminder.
mm,
So it doesn't matter if people say, well, stop doing podcasts, this, stop doing... It's part of me now. It's part of me. And I take something bad of my experience and I try
mm,
and get the good from it, because in every negative there is a positive. There
yeah.
is. And good has come from this.
Nick,
But
there will be people, mate, that will be listening to this now. They'll be listening to your story, your journey, and they'll equate that back to their own lives. And by you sharing this kind of thing, it will definitely go towards helping others, because others will listen, whether it puts their own problems in context, or whether they can look at what you've been through and take inspiration from that and think, fucking hell, if he went through that and he's come out the other side, then I can get through what I'm going through now. So
I wanted to
it
throw the
serves
towel
good.
in so much. I
Yeah.
wanted to throw the towel in so much in prison. I had to keep my head on my shoulders. And you know what got me through it?
Go on.
I was receiving letters from Australia, Canada, America, France, various places in the UK. We all were. The people, and I always say this, I am here because of your support, because we were finding it so hard. It's not nice being in a
Mm.
prison for a crime you've not committed. If you're guilty, you go and then you get on with it. Yes, we had to get on with it, but you know you're innocent and you'll never give up fighting. But there is times where you want to give up because of them bastards mentally destroying you. And we went back. We went back to prison for 5 years, and you know, another birthday, another Christmas, and leading up to, my birthday for a third birthday in total in prison. In a letter, I was like, I can't do it, Lisa. How the fuck am I meant to do another 3 years? How? I'm broken. You can only do so much. I need to see Dad. I need to see him. She went, he's old, man. He's in his 70s. He's not being able to handle it. I went, Lisa, I can't go on. I need to see him. And we built a Flintstone gym outside in our compound through tree branches,
Mm.
bricks, and bed sheets. And I was training one afternoon, and one of the Indians came up. He went, Mr. Nick, Mr. Nick. I went, what's the matter? I went, oh, parcel, big parcel. You have to sign for it. I went, I'll go and do it later. Because the mailman used to do it twice a day. He went, no, you have to go now. Jailer said. I went, oh, yeah. I hate being interrupted when I'm trying to keep fit, just to keep myself mentally active. So I hide my vest on because I had to wear like white shirts. If you went down to like jailers and say the superintendent, you had to be a bit prim and proper instead of just cutting around in a vest or t-shirt and shorts, etc. So I was going down, and Paul was going, "Oh, you've got a big parcel, mind." And I walked into the jailer's office. I turned to the jailer and went, "Where's my parcel, man?" My sister jumped out from his desk. I just froze. And then she started giving us a hug. And the jailer started bubbling. And then while she's hugging us, I remember from, like, obviously when my girlfriend come in, giving a hug, they didn't like it. So they would, no, you can't, no. Because obviously when we last came in, I'm going to cop a feel on how you know what I mean? So I'm giving my sister a hug like that, and I'm tap on the shoulder. I'm like, fuck off, man. And then, bosh, I got spun around, and my dad was hiding behind the door.
Oh, mate.
That was it. The jailer started bubbling even more. I just broke down. My light at the end of the tunnel came, and he regenerated me. They were there a week. Every day coming into prison, we're having sometimes 2 to 3 hours. Magical.
And that picked you back up again.
And that was it. When they left, obviously you get a little bit down, and where the flight of the aeroplanes goes over the prison. So when we're in our cell, you can hear the planes sometimes going over. If we had a little radio, which Chennai FM was the only English radio station. So, like, that was in March, and things was happening. The captain was having bone cancer, and he was like walking skeleton. Devastating. So we used him with the legal team, because we were going through the appeal, stuck in High Court. They would, for a year, they would not give an answer. Imagine that in the UK. No, neither can I. So we went, right, we're going to try a red herring, another route. The highest judge of all India in the Supreme Court, Mr. Chief Justice himself. Captain dying, wants to go out to die in a private hospital. Family from the Ukraine is going to come and see him. He went, "Why are these still in my country? I want a decision in 2 weeks. Get them out." A week later, we got told of a date. 27th of November 2017. Judgment Day. Donkey Kong. We're on. And I remember on a Sunday evening, the court date was on Monday. Everyone's a bit apprehensive. No one's fucking sleeping tonight. Not a chance. We're all smoking the biddies, which is like a little tobacco leaf, like horrible goblin. Teeth's black. You know what I mean? Couldn't wait to get to the dentist. Looked like a right tramp. Had long hair. We just looked like a bag of shit. And the final countdown from Europe came on the radio, and I stood up in the cell and I went, "That's it, lads. We're out tomorrow." Oh, no. Apprehensiveness. Don't blame them. I was like, "We're on. We're going." So as soon as the cell was open at 6 o'clock, so we would have like 12 hours of being out of our cell to roam around the compound, etc., of the prison. So I was training. It was Monday. Paul and Ray it was their cooking day. Me and Billy used to do a couple of other days. I was in the gym again, which was just by the mango tree, literally behind our cells, so the barred windows. I was training. Paul came to the window, or barred window, I should say, and he went, Dunny, which is my nickname. He went, case acquitted. There was 40 cases, and we were number 40. It was around 4:30, 5:30, or something like that when they heard our case. Case acquitted. But he said that in an upset, joyful, mixed emotions. He just wanted a bubble.
Yeah.
I went, case acquitted, 28th of November. That's it. 4 years. Fucking over.
Nick.
For what? For what?
And just to be acquitted at the end. I mean, thank God you were, but there's a bittersweetness to that, isn't there?
And I tried to finish off what I was doing. I built a little routine to keep us active, and I couldn't do it. My head was going fucking tight like that. We got in the cell, everyone was just, the Estonians were up with, because when we originally got to that cell, they put all 23 in one cell, and time, tensions, squabbles.
Yeah.
We became split, and they became split. So for 23 was 3 cells. Obviously, the captain was in hospital in the prison because he was practically nearly dying. Thankfully, his medication was working, so he was living that. Don't know if he's alive today. Hope he is. He was, I think, in his late 60s, early 70s when all that was happening. And then we never slept that night. And then the next day, I practically kicked the prison guard out of the way because I wanted to go into the gym to just try and tire myself out, or go out to the gym, I should say. And then after every set, I'd walk around our little compound. And as I walked around, Paul, I saw him. I went, what's up? He went, I've been summoned by the superintendent. I went, all right, neighbour. And then I was coming around again. He was coming back in. I went, what's the crack, Paul? And I tell you what, it just felt like someone just taking me legs away. He went, get your shit together. The embassy's coming at 11 o'clock. And I stood there. And I just went, fucking finally. But I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it because they lied the last time. They said we got bail when we're in the prison for till we got bail. They said we got bail. We all packed our stuff and went down, and the superintendent was going to leave, and he went, what are you doing? Well, he said, so, getting in your head.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not Russian. Wait. I was sick of that for 4 years. I was like, you say wait to me again, I'll rip your tongue out. Yeah? Ugh. You'd have thought I would have been used to it by being in the army. You know what I mean? Turn up and wait. 4 hours before you need to go to the army. And you're like, well, why don't you just tell it to go then? They say everything happens for a reason. And all. So I went and had my bucket shower, and I packed what little belongings I had. We were leaving stuff for the other Indians in our compound. Oh, they were buzzing my tits off them, man. Whoa. because obviously when we're family, we'll get parcels, and certain items were not allowed, etc. But it was funny because you got them all back at the end. I was like, bloody hell! We're only got like one piece, like a little piece of chicken thigh for our meal per person, so 6 pieces so one of each kind of thing. And we said, oh look, we need to eat fish. Fish oil's good for your bones, and I was like, oh, well, a bit knackered. So, well, like the little fish, the mixed tuna in the little soft packet. We'll get some of them, get like 6 of them in, but they'll keep 2. So it looked a bit of, oh, we're still in control. You're not getting them all. You know what I mean? Something like that. And went down, and their embassy was there. The High Commissioner, the Deputy High Commissioner, the embassy girls, the Chief of Prisons, the original superintendent, she was actually on maternity leave. I said, I bet she comes, because she was a trained lawyer. We showed her the weapons certificates in prison. She went, why are you here? Honestly, the superintendent of the prison said, why are you here? Because she was a trained lawyer. She says, these are legitimate. Said, well, there. The prison didn't want us there, man. They knew we shouldn't have been there, but they had to follow orders. So you could, but it was still horrendous. It was still awful.
Mate, I can't imagine. I can't begin to imagine the injustice and the anger towards that.
And when we finally left the prison, to be in an air-conned vehicle was magical. And then when we got to the embassy in Chennai, the only number I could remember off by heart was my sister. I rang my sister, and there was obviously I went, hello. So she didn't really kind of realise, and there was obviously that international delay. I went, I'm out. And she was screaming. She went, I'm on my way to the airport. I'm coming to get you. And I was just bubbling again, man. I was like, this is surreal. I've dreamt of this every day for 4 years. And I mean it every day. Even to flying and arriving at Newcastle Airport. But it was always different. And then it come to the point of, getting me out of the country, exit permits, flights. My sister had gone back to the UK. I wanted to choose a different time of my flight, so I would only be in Dubai for like an hour and a half. So it was like 4.5 hour flight from Chennai to Dubai. I had to make a large Americano last 6 hours. I was knackered. I hadn't slept in a week.
Yeah.
I was running on adrenaline. I was cabbaged. And I had to do a 7-hour flight, and I was thinking, Nick, you can't get pissed like you normally do. Because the Newcastle Airport had said, do you want to just come into a small room and just be family only? I went, no. I want to show the thousands of amazing people that this is what you've done to me. I want to be coming back home, not a hero. I don't want to say I'm a hero, but I wanted to come back, and I wanted people to see what they had done to me. And I wanted to publicly thank everyone from the bottom of my heart, your support got me through it. You got me here. You brought me home. Obviously, thank you to my legal team. And I had my own trolley dolly. And, you know, people would kind of, some did recognise me. I looked a bit lost. I looked like I hadn't washed and I didn't have my hair cut for 2 years. And a few people, when I clocked out, went, and I was just buzzing. And then we got into Newcastle, and the only thing in all my dreams was the same as when the captain says, "We are about to enter Newcastle. Can you return to your seats, fasten, blah, blah." And I was shattered. But when he said that, boom, it's like someone had just put a new battery in me. And when you come into Newcastle, you fly over where I live. And I was looking out the window, I was recognising things, and I was like, "Oh, this is real. I am not dreaming. This is real." And we landed. Hey, I'm a paratrooper. If I could have jumped out that plane there and then, I would have. "Give me a parachute, baby. I'm out. Fuck you." We landed. Everyone got off the plane. I'm the last man, Jack. Captain came out, shook me hand. "Welcome home, son." All the trolley dollies. I was like, "See you later, darlings." I stood out. It's December the 7th. It's fucking freezing. I stood at the door. I went, "Oh, fuck. Oh, British clean air." And one of the baggage handlers was stood at the bottom, and they were going, "Welcome home." I've only fell down the stairs because I was just choked up. I went, and then the bus was there with all the people, and I stood, and I got on the bus and went, "Sorry, sorry." And they went, "Shut up. This is your day." And I was like, and then it was just, because, you know, I was like, what's the point in that? And then I got picked up by one of Newcastle Airport staff. And they must have told the baggage handlers, "Jump on that plane, find his bag." Because at the carousel, and he'd started, my bag was waiting for me. And she escorted me past immigration. I went, "Bastard, I could have brought loads of towels back. There's no one there." I'm getting escorted, and then to international arrivals, she stopped and she went, "This is your journey alone," and walked away. And I tell you what, I've been blown up in Afghanistan, I've done PCOMI, I've become a paratrooper, but this is the fucking hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm trying to compose myself to go through these doors, and I can't. I can't. For 4 years I've dreamt. I can't do it. I can't. And then people started coming, and the doors opened, and down as I'm looking, the media's all down the right side behind the barrier. My family's there, and people of support who's come to say is "Welcome home, Nick Bannon." And they shut, and I went, "Oh." I was like that, "Right, come on. Come on, Nick. You can do it." And I went a step, and a bloke came. And when you see the video, you see, you obviously don't see that bloke, but the doors open, and my dad goes, "He's there. He's there." And you see me come, and if you watch the YouTube video of me coming home, but you see me, my sister just bosh like that, and everyone's going berserk. I'm home. This is it. It is over now. Even when I was out of India They were making it difficult to get back. They were saying, this is our last time to fuck yous about. But when I landed in Newcastle Airport, that was it. That was it. It was over. However, it was just the end of one chapter to go on to another. But at the
What a
time,
moment, man.
it's over.
What a moment. What a
And to
moment.
see me mum for the first time in a wheelchair, it crushed me. Absolute crushed me. But you know what? She's alive.
Mm.
And I tell you what, the support, second to none. And I thank every single person that was there. Random strangers as well. And everyone who supported, not just me, but the Chennai Six. Thank you so much. Without your support, you know, I wouldn't be here today. And thank to the Indian surgeon for saving my mum's life, because I certainly wouldn't be here if she died. That's the truth.
Right, I mean, that's, again, thank you for sharing that. It was an incredible story, but it's not a story, it's your life. It's the existence that you lived. I can't even begin to imagine the feeling of stepping back out into Newcastle after that time. And quite rightly, it probably felt surreal, like it wasn't even true. But you've experienced all that. You've come back to the UK. How do you even begin to then try and adapt back into any like semblance of a normal life? Like, what's the next step from there?
It was difficult. So much had changed in 4 years. I was lost. I become accustomed to Indian way of life. I realised how quiet we are here compared to their bustling cities. But everyone eased me back in. When I came to watch Game of Thrones, no one spoiled it for us. When I watched the Red Wedding, they knew I watched that because of my Facebook. People's support and how I settled in was second to none. It was great, absolute great. You know, it took some time. It did, and everyone was saying my hair looked good. Yeah, people were like a bit annoyed that I cut her off, but that was my last little reminder of
Yeah.
India, so I had to get it cut. And it was a ball ache. It was like straw because of the heat. So I had to get it lobbed off. But yeah, I came back home, was settling in, and obviously my sister and I just, on the back of what people were saying, oh Nick, did you write your memoirs? Did you write your? I was like, oh, they're all up here. Oh, I think you should do a book, you know. And some people, oh, it could be a film, that. Oh, you should write a book. And I just one day, you know, just can't remember when it was, 2018, 19. Said to my sister, Lisa, so many people are saying I should write a book. What do you think? She says, what do you got to lose? I thought, people want to know what happened from my words. And we went through trying to inquire. Getting a book published isn't easy. It's quite difficult. Everyone's got a story to tell, but getting it published into a book isn't the easiest. But I got it done. Mirror Books, they're not called that now, but I got it fully published. I'm proud.
Obviously we mentioned this at the beginning, mate, but your book, your memoirs of that time in your life is called Surviving Hell.
Yes.
That probably tells you everything you need to know about that experience. There it is. if people want to read the in-depth account of what happened to you, where can they find that book, Nick?
Amazon's the best place. You can get it on Kindle version, paperback, or hardback. I am trying to inquire about getting it done audio because so many people have been
Absolutely,
inquiring.
mate.
But
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to try and do that if you can.
Try and go down that because it's. I've said I'll do it to cut the costs down. AI, because what people don't may realise, there's not just my chapters in it. So, but yeah, it was very cathartic doing it.
I bet.
I'm not the most educated, but all the words are mine. And yes, I did have a ghostwriter help me, and he was absolutely fantastic, Howard. And the good thing about it, he followed my story. So a lot of the time, I was just filling in the blanks, and he had a lot of patience because I had to relive it again. And even sometimes he had to stop and went, Nick, I'm bubbling here. Of just how I was conducting myself, telling it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it, you know.
Mate, you tell it's your life, so what else is there to be passionate about? But you tell it with such passion and such vigour. I think if you are going to get an audio version of that done, it's got to be you. It's got to. I listen to a lot of books myself, and you can always tell when it's the person. And I think you telling it would just add that something. Nobody's going to tell it with the same emotion that you have got.
Yeah.
So although
I'll have to try and hold myself a little bit better than when I do obviously the podcast, because like I want to, you know, give the listeners, the viewers, a raw account. I want them to really experience what I went through. I want them to understand the injustice that we were served. We were innocent men that had our lives ruined for what? And I know there's people who have done more prison time, but tell me if they were innocent. No, most. But I know there's probably more interesting. But like at the end of the day, this is what my life was.
mate, I've sat there enthralled listening to you and what you were telling me, and I know that we've probably scratched the surface. I mean, how do you condense, you know, that period in your life, 5 years, into a 2 hour conversation? You can't. There's going to be huge amounts missed out.
Like I say, obviously, you know, there's what's happened after. Like we're in 2024 now. My book came out just as we went into the lockdown with COVID, which I was quite disappointed with because I've had to do yes, I have had media when the time was able to help promote, but a lot of the promotion of my book, I've had to do it myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said to me, your story's not reached its potential. It needs to be told. Your book needs to be read. And like I say, I will always thank you, those who purchase my book. If they inform me on my social media platforms, you know what I say to them? When you before you put your address, put my address. I'll sign it and I'll post it back to you because then it's yours. It's a personalised copy of my life for you. You've done the best by buying it. It's the least I could do by just giving you a sign. And I always write a nice little message. And, you know, my favourite saying is in every negative there's a positive. And I know that light at that end of the tunnel will always be there. It might be dim,
mate.
but it's always there. And the road to that will never be straight. It'll never be smooth. you'll come through twists and turns, and then when you think you're about to touch that bright light, bosh, it goes away, and it deflates you. But guess what? You get back up and you keep going. And that's what we did for 4 years. And me personally, that's what I did. There was so many times where things were so good and they just went poof, and they knocked us for 6. Like I said, mental, to get in someone's head, to destroy them from within. I am broken, but I try my best to hold myself together. I've recently gone through a bit of shit. Medical reasons is why my recent podcast is there to be seen. You can tell by looking at how fucked I am.
So to clarify that, mate, the first time I saw you, the first time I came across you was your interview that you did with Lad Bible, where I thought you came across really well. It's clear that the emotion is there for you because you did break down at points in that interview, but that's just raw and open and honest. But it's clear how traumatic that whole period in your life was and would be for anybody. What I guess I want to ask you is how are you now? Like, how are you today? How are you at the moment?
I'm like I say, I'm pretty okay. A bit earlier, I don't know if you noticed, I was feeling a bit because I'm still getting the odd little side effect from the medication that I've been on. Like recently, I've been in hospital, which was quite scary. I literally thought I was having a heart attack. But this is what I'm saying about people with trauma. Trauma doesn't just affect you straight after the event. And I've gone through my own mental health where a few years ago I tried to take my own life. And it's not a nice thing.
No.
And I never try and say and keep going, my mental health. I try and get on with my life, because if you keep on going that, you become like the boy who cried wolf kind of thing. You've got to live with it. You've got to deal with it, but not use it as an excuse and the be all of your actions, whatever they may be. But always try and take the support. It might not be the one that works, but you keep trying. And for those who want to take the medication, great. I don't want to take it. I've tried it, and no, it makes you worse as far as I'm concerned. But that's not me telling what you should do. This is from me, personal experience. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm training my mate up in the gym. I had a little play about. I'm not fully back to getting back into the gym, but we get there. We always get up more than we'll fall down. Some days it does take that little bit extra to pull yourself around, but you always do eventually, and never give up. Never.
Mate, you're the embodiment of that.
Die trying. Be proud. Accept whatever help is there. And I want to stress and preach to the viewers and listeners out there. When I was going through a bad, dark place, before I tried to take my own life, I reflected back on how that happened. And I say, know your own signs of your decline. You're driving, you get a bit angry. I'm always an angry driver, but you might miss a turn when you're lapsing concentration. You're being ratty with your friends and family. They can see what you can't. You can take a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. They might gear you and steer you in that direction, but you've got to make the necessary steps to get help. You've got to pick up that phone. And I've got pride, personal pride, and I palmed it off. I felt embarrassed. Paratrooper, operations. But the demons, they're never going to go away. They wait for that vulnerable opportunity and they get you. And there's no going back. Some survive, others do not. I am lucky, like many others are. And there was a very critical point where I started seeing various deaths of myself. Like walking over a bridge where there's a road, I'd freeze and I would vision myself fucking jumping to me death. And it's horrific. I was lying in the bath listening to some like calming music and I couldn't hear it because all I could think was planning my own death. To the latter. I wanted to go to the beach. I've always made a promise I would never destroy myself. And I know this sounds disgusting, but my mum takes quite a lot of tablets and I was going to raid her tablets, buy a bottle of whiskey, go to the beach, send a WhatsApp message to my close family, friends and loved ones. Come find me with the location and just take me. I couldn't. The demon got me, and it's horrendous. It's horrendous. And you know what stopped me from doing that? Like I say, I was in the bath planning this. Tears going down. You know what stopped me that night?
Go on.
I was skint, so I couldn't buy any whiskey, and I had no petrol. I had the tablets though.
Wow.
And you know when people say this, and I'm not slagging people off when I say this, pick up a phone, call me. The day before my dad's birthday, on the 1st of February, I was talking to a friend on the phone. Yeah? And then that's it. I let my guard down. They saw the vulnerable, and he consumed it. So I went in the kitchen. I was still in a pair of shorts and my slippers and my dressing gown, because it was February, obviously. And I went into the kitchen, filled a glass of water, and I sat on the edge of my bed, and I emptied these tablets, which were very powerful tablets. I counted every single one. I had 60, and I just handful. And I had Metallica's Nothing Else Matters, because nothing else mattered.
Wow.
I had that on repeat. Nothing else mattered. That was it. Come fucking get me. And I just... I must have said something in a message, and it alerted me sister. So I'm starting to... I've took all these tablets, and I'm like... fuck, like that, on the edge of my bed, and I just go into the fetal position on my bed. My sister's gone, something's not right here, because she's seen what I've not. You got to remember, she's been there from day one. She's had to deal with her battle with me mum, me in prison, the media. I'll never be her. She's the most powerful, strongest person in the world. She was nicknamed Small and Mighty because she's a little dinky bugger. But drive, passion, pride. She was at work. She went, Dad. She must have said, Dad, get him now. And I'm in and out of consciousness. And my dad comes in and he's flapping like a fucking budgie. The box, the tablet on the floor. he's trying to, and he honestly, I regret putting him through that. I do have regret. I wish I had more tablets. But obviously I'm glad I'm still alive. Life is precious. My dad, I could hear him on the phone. They're saying, oh, I could take 45 minutes. And my dad went, he'd be fucking dead in 45 minutes. So my dad, he's in his 70s, and I live in an upstairs flat. And he's trying to take me down the stairs without, and I'm like, he literally gets me into the passenger seat of his car, and the fucking ambulance comes screeching round the corner. And they get me out, and they went, obviously they're trying to keep us awake, and they went, get him now. Blues, siren, the works, and excuse me, there, my nose is getting a bit dodgy. And I was in hospital, because this is in the morning, this is early morning. I was in the hospital and I didn't get out. We were making sure I hadn't internally damaged myself, so I was going through loads of tests. Obviously, people say if you just did it for a cry of help, if they were to think that, and I went, no, I didn't. I left the box there because I just flung it. I was empty and I just went like that. Like there was no care. Didn't do it. You know what I mean? Plus, there's people say, take loads of paracetamol and alcohol, that's probably worse than what the tablets, because of how them tablets and alcohol mix together kind of thing. But the tablets that I was on, they said if you had have drunk alcohol, you probably would have been dead before your dad had turned up. So fortunately you didn't. But they had to make sure I was okay. So I literally got, out of hospital that night, the next morning. And yeah, I felt a bit embarrassed at the time, but I'm glad I did it.
Did you get support afterwards, Nick?
What's that?
Was the support for you afterwards?
Yeah, I turned to, social media, and the support was fantastic. It wasn't a cry for help, it was, and I try and see it as a powerful tool. And I tell you what, the people that supported me, military charities, Walking with the Wounded, they were absolutely fantastic for me. It was very hard because I felt ashamed of myself and a bit embarrassed. But I tell you what, the support I got was fantastic, and I say thank you again. You've got to reach out.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
It's not the way. It's not. And when I got out of prison, that's all I was seeing. And I can say this now because I've changed mentally. And I was like, you're weak, you're just, to people, but I'll tell you what, you're selfish, but you're damn not weak. You're very strong and brave because it takes guts to take your own life. And even contemplate and going through with it takes guts.
I would agree.
You're broken, you're destroyed, but that you are not. You are not weak. Very selfish though, because you aren't there to see the damage that's left behind. And I tell you what, my mum doesn't know, because that would destroy her. You know what my sister said? You practically put a gun to your mum and dad's head. Don't you ever do that again. Because I will kill you in the next life. And I can laugh about that because it hits. I've been down, I've been out, but I've never ever once felt or contemplated taking my own life again.
I'm glad to hear
We all
it,
get down. We all have hard times. And getting back up might take that little bit extra the next time, but never push people away. I pushed because of self-pride. I pushed everyone away. I do regret that. But you can't sometimes change who you are. And that's what I do. I close it myself in. I push people away.
There's a lesson in it, Nick, isn't there? And you're telling me it now. You're telling me
There
that,
is.
you know, your
Life's
reflections
precious.
on that, and what you can do is you can use your experience and now pass that information on to others, which is what you're doing right now.
I do truly believe that you can take what I've been through, whether it's my time in prison, like the never give up, the resilience, and with the mental health, trying to take my own life, etc. When I reflect back, when I have to, I go, you know what? I've had a lot of horrible things I've had to deal with, but you know what? I'm still here. I'm battered and bruised, but I'm still here. And that's the main thing. You know what
There's the
people said to me?
resilience.
The world is better with you in, Nick. You know, when people have read my book, and I've had this, there was one Sunday evening I was just sat there and a lass messaged me personally on Facebook because I wrote a status. I can't remember what it was now. She said, Nick, you've just stopped me from killing myself. I went, what? She went, I gave Facebook a little last look before I was going to kill myself, and your Facebook status came up first, and I read it. And you know what? It stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. And I thank
There you
you,
go.
Nick. And I was like, fucking hell. This is the thing. Doesn't matter what you do in life, whether it be big or so small, you can impact someone's life in a major positive way. I remember a guy who also read my book messaged me on Instagram. Nick, what you went through was so tough, but I've read your book, I've listened to your podcast, and you know what? It's making me want to be a better person, a better son, brother, husband, and a father. And when people say that, I go, wow. Because you don't realise it. And to take compliments, I don't take them well. I just like, but then as you get older, you do realise that you do impact people's lives, and hopefully, obviously, a positive way, which I have done. And it's great to do that
Your story will, mate, yeah.
without even you realising you're doing it.
Look, there was a reason I wanted to speak to you, Nick, because when I heard your story, I heard what you'd been through. That was exactly what I thought. I thought it's inspiring, it's resilience. I want to speak to that man and see how he got through it, why he got through it. That's another thing, the why. And it's been fantastic talking to you and getting to know all of those reasons and the answers to the questions that I had. And it's that and your story that will go on to inspire others and can do, as you said, it can put people in a different frame of mind, and hopefully this podcast will reach people and do the same thing.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, mate, it's
having
truly
the patience for me to
not at all, mate.
the highs and lows of
Nick, honestly, mate, it has been my pleasure. I'm honoured that you've given up your time this evening to come and talk to me.
Thank you.
as I said, it's a hell of a story, an inspiring story. And I'll repeat again to anybody that wants to find out the in-depth details, go and look up Nick's book, Surviving Hell, available on Amazon. That's the one. I'll put a link, Nick. I'll put a link to your socials in the episode description. I'll put a link to the book. And I'll push the book across socials, mate. In fact, not only will I push it across socials, I want a copy myself. So I'm going to get myself a copy. I'll get you to sign it. And hopefully in the very near future, when we upgrade the podcast studio, I'll find a place for your book to be in the studio somewhere. And
so much. Thank you.
Mate, honestly, it's been a real pleasure talking to you this evening. So thank you ever so much for your time. Is there anything that you wanted to say before we wrap things up?
Never give up. Simple as that. Never give up.
What better to say? Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.